going to give like a basic overview of your sales funnel and your autoresponder as we kind of move in that direction, and this should also help you with kind of making sense of how this all works and how everything kind of goes together. So it's going to be a pretty good night. It's going to be kind of, I'm going to break the autoresponder, which is the part that I'm going to do first, into two parts. We're going to do first the part on how it's set up, what it looks like, how your funnel looks to people that are coming to your link, and kind of how it all works. And I'll show you a campaign and all that stuff and what you need to do, and probably at the next time I'll show you how to actually create what your email looks like. So to get started, first, if you're out here watching live, please drop a hashtag live. If you're catching this on the replay, please drop a hashtag replay. If you have any questions along the way and you're here or not, please drop them in the comments. I will certainly get back to you. Some of this is going to be a little bit technical, so it might get a little bit, you might not really quite understand it, but once, if you haven't already set this up, when you do set it up, it'll kind of make more sense, so just bear with me. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to actually go and just take a look at how the whole system kind of works together first. And I actually just made this in the last few minutes, so let's take a look, and don't judge me on my drawing. So this is actually your sales funnel and how it kind of works. So if you're looking at this particular screen from left to right, this is kind of like your flow just based on a two-page funnel, and what you can actually expect your user or your client to go through when they see one of your social media posts. So you can see, like, here's all the social medias here on the left hand side, and you see there's Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. So you have the same link in each one of those in particular platforms, and all the links actually go to the same page. And so this is the first page that they come to is your opt-in. And what your opt-in is your opt-in is a place for you to capture somebody's email and probably their name. And that, what that does is it captures their information so that you can store it in your email list, because having an email list is really important for an affiliate marketer, because it's probably the only thing that actually ends up being yours. So the opt-in page is really important. In the beginning of your sales funnel, you do want to make sure that you capture everybody's email, because what that does is it also gives you an audience that is truly your audience, because you know that they came to you based on your content. And so everybody that's in that list is interested in something that you are talking about. Even if you bring a new product in down the road, they're going to be interested because they're kind of interested in that whole niche, which is your niche. So that's why you want to kind of keep your channel all around one niche. So the opt-in is where you're actually going to get that information, and what you're going to put on here is your picture, probably a little bit about you, and just ask them their name and their email address, and that's pretty much it. And when they click this little button right here, it's actually going to bring them to a thank you page. Now what the thank you page does, and this really is dependent on what you're what you're actually promoting. It might be a little bit different based on how you're promoting it, but pretty much what your thank you page is to thank them for giving you your email. That's a really big deal, and I'm sure that you've been on other opt-in pages where you've gotten to the point that you have an email, you have to put your email in it and decide not to do it. So always thank somebody for putting in their email, because it is actually a really big deal that they gave you their email address. It's kind of a big thing, so you want to thank them. The other thing that the thank you page does is it actually is a bridge to what they're going to. So you want to kind of create some of that continuity that goes off to the next page. So the opt-in page and the thank you page are actually built in your sales funnel. So if you haven't picked a sales funnel yet, a sales funnel program is something like ClickFunnels, System.io has one, Aweber has a really basic one, and there's many other out there, but those are kind of the the ones that I'm familiar with, and I've actually used all of them to build sales funnels. So if one of those is something that you pick, one of those three, then I can certainly help you. And if you have questions along the way, I can certainly answer questions that you have. So those 2 pages, the opt-in and the thank you, are what's going to actually be in your sales funnel. The thank you page usually has a video of you on it that's just saying, hey, thanks for your email. I really appreciate you coming and giving me your email address, and I'm really super excited for you, and this is what you're going to expect on the next page, so that you're kind of like making that nice little transition, and they're coming off of something that they saw you on, and they're going to the page that they were interested in. And so it kind of like makes a really nice smooth transition for them. So your opt-in and thank you pages should also be colored the same way the sales page is colored, and the same fonts and all that kind of stuff. And we are going to go through that, so don't worry if you don't know how to make all that happen. But the opt-in and the thank you page should pretty much match your sales page, because you want your customers to kind of feel like it's all one process, and you're not going from like yellow to like green or blue or something like that. So you do want to kind of make something that's pretty consistent, so the person that's actually going through your sales funnel kind of feels like it's kind of all one thing kind of thing. So your sales page is going to be like the page that's actually where you're sending them off to the company. So you don't really have control over that one. You're only talking about the opt-in and the thank you on a 2-page funnel, and which is all that we're going to go over. So you're at this point. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to talk about first the opt-in and what happens behind the scenes when they actually enter their email address, and how all that works. I'm going to show you how mine is set up. Mine is set up through Aweber, and if you use ClickFunnels, you will need an autoresponder in addition to ClickFunnels, and usually that's Aweber. So if any of you are deciding to use ClickFunnels, Aweber is something that you will become more familiar with. And let me show you what that looks like. I've actually already logged into my account, and you can see that I'm actually in the list, which in this particular list, this is Legendary Opt-in. So promoting Legendary, the 15-day challenge, anybody that came in from that particular link would have ended up on this particular email list. And so in this list, I actually have two things that are active. And one of them is the welcome campaign, which is a series of emails that goes out first, and then an ongoing email list, which means that it's a copy of a list that continues to be added to, so that when they're on the list, I continue to send emails to. And these are much different emails based on how long they've been on my list. So the emails that are on the ongoing email list are constructed much differently than my welcome campaign. My welcome campaign is much more like Legendary and much more sales oriented, where the ongoing emails are much more generic and much more kind of telling a little bit about me, and telling a little bit about what's in my groups, because if they haven't made a decision yet, that maybe I can help them along the way, kind of like why all of you are here. So the welcome campaign, let's go and take a look at that one. So you can see actually in your campaign, there is a list that shows up first, and what this list is the actions that a subscriber is going to go through in sequential order. So these are numbered down the left-hand side, 1, 2, 3, 4, right down the left-hand side, and you can see what's going to happen. When they actually come onto the list and subscribe to the list, the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to get a trigger. They're going to get triggered as a new subscriber for this particular list. So when they first subscribe, the first thing that is going to actually happen is they're going to receive this email. And so this email first here is the first email that's going to be sent to their box. And you can see that this one has it set up to have a tag on it so I know where they came, how they came into the list. So they're coming in with a tag, the legendary opt-in and the welcome campaign. So then that's important if you're going to be combining lists at some point, that you know where somebody came from. Some people it's very important, other people it's not. To me, I just wanted to know which way they came in from. So the next thing that's going to happen is they're going to actually receive this email right here. And so you can see that how this email is set up. In the subject line, it says welcome first name fix, which means that it's going to say welcome and it's going to have their first name. This is just kind of the little code thing that tells the email to actually replace what's there and put their first name in there. So if you look at this email, we can open it actually right over here. So when you look at this particular email, if you came in from the legendary list, which you may or may not have, I'm not really quite sure, this is the email that you would have received first from me. So it would actually have hi and your first name, and here's the email goes out, and it has my name at the bottom. Mine are pretty basic, but you can actually get pretty fancy. All this stuff over here on the left-hand side are elements, and so you can add all these different elements into your email list. This is just a paragraph, so it's just typing, but you can add a picture. So if you want to put a picture inside your email address, inside your email, you could put a picture underneath your name, which is always nice. To see your picture is always a great thing. You could add a video in here if you wanted to. Of course, button, you could add a button, which would be like if you wanted them to subscribe to something or do something in the email. I probably wouldn't use a button in an email, but I actually might use a link to my social. And these are other things that you could use. Of course, you can set up your signature, but it's nothing that I particularly use at this point. But that would be up to you. I mean, some of this is just actually just figuring out how all this stuff works. And this is all just a drag and drop thing. So you would just drag it and drop it here, and then you can see that you can actually edit the picture and actually add a picture in. And it's also actually connected to Canva, so if you wanted to change to use something in Canva, you certainly could do that for sure. I know that I absolutely love Canva. It's one of my go-to places to design things. A lot of my stuff has been designed in Canva, so it's really kind of a fun thing. If you have not actually used Canva, it is kind of a fun thing to get to know and get to use. So for sure. So let's go back to the list. I think I just added a picture to that. That's okay. So you can see in this particular campaign, they're going to get a welcome message, and then this particular campaign, they're going to wait 1 day, and then they're going to get another email. And so if we open up this email, you can do the same thing. Go check out this email. And so here's the email that they would receive on day 2. Because the first one would go out, it would wait a day, and then it would send this one out automatically. So, and here you can see that I have things that actually bring them back to the challenge that they were interested in the first place, which is important because they were interested in it. So I'm going to actually go back and say, you know, hey, here's another link to the challenge, because most people, when they're first looking at something like the 15-day challenge, 80% of people do not make a purchase on the first day. So your email list is actually where you get a lot of traffic from, because you are actually in front of them in their email, which is why the sales funnel, the autoresponder is so important, is to keep that information kind of in front of them. And you can see on this one I actually added my logo. Let's go back to the list. So then it's going to wait another day right here, and we're going to go to another message. And then we're going to wait another day, and then we're going to go to another message. And so you can see, if you continue on down here, that there's quite a few messages in the list. So there's 18 messages, and not 18 messages. There's 9 messages, and then it gets tagged finished. And so what the tag is for finished for me is it actually notifies another list that it needs to start. And so that other list, we've already actually seen it, and we can go actually back to the other list. So then it actually goes to the copy of the ongoing list. And how Aweber works, Aweber actually doesn't let you take somebody from the legendary opt-in list and add it onto another list. So in order to get those emails, the ongoing email lists, I actually have them in a different folder and I copy them into each individual list that I have, so that when when I'm adding them, I only have to add it in one place, and I just copy it to the rest of my email lists, and I'll actually show you what the rest of the email lists look like so you have a good idea of how it's set up in here. So on the copy, you can see that this trigger, actually the campaign, when the tag is finished, it's actually going to fire off this campaign, and you can see all the emails that I have in here, and it says 1 day wait. So when you get the tag, instead of actually sending an email immediately, because the tag went on when the previous campaign finished, so I don't want to send another email right away. I want to actually wait a day. So the first step in this one is to wait a day, and then send an email, wait a day, and then send another email, and so on and so on, just like the other one. It's just a different trigger that starts this. Instead of a new subscriber that starts it, it's actually a tag that starts it. So, and this one is actually just a practice one that I had tried out, but I actually don't use it. So we have just two in here, the welcome campaign and the copy of the ongoing list. So pretty much when somebody finishes up in this campaign, in the welcome campaign, they move on to the copy of the ongoing emails and continue on. So one thing that is important, you can see that people have been through these, and it gives you the open rate, so how many times people have opened it, or the percentage of people that opened it and clicked. So, and it could be that some of these actually don't have any, because this is my ongoing list, so not everything has something clickable in it. It might just be a story about me, or it might be something that I'm telling them about, or explaining to them, so there may not be something that's clickable in there. But you can see that this one, that 3% out of the 33% of them made a click out of the email onto the next step kind of thing. So, and you can see that it's actually in both of these. Oops. That if you click here, how many people, so like this is the first one, you can see how many people actually clicked through. So 50%, almost 50% of people open, 11% actually click. So that's how that works. So how the lists work in Aweber, and this might actually be something, I mean, I know that you can have different lists also in System.io, so it does work kind of similarly, but after the list names, it's different between the two systems. So I'm just going to explain Aweber, and if at some point we need to go through System.io, I can go through that as well. So active lists that I have right now, I only have two. I have this legendary opt-in list, which I'm actually not using at the moment, but it's still active. And then I have a Make Money with Jill Facebook group, which is probably how you came into me. So this Facebook group is the only other list that I have in this system. So, and these two lists do not speak to each other at all. And in Aweber, you can't get them to speak to each other. They're individual lists. So the people that are on the legendary opt-in list and the people that are on the Make Money with Jill list are two totally separate lists, and you cannot send the same emails to those two people. You actually, which is why there's a copy in this one, that I had to make a copy in here, but you can copy messages from one to the other. You can't send one email to both lists. You have to actually make copies of them, and there's two separate things. So other than that, the only other thing that's important about actually getting your autoresponder up and working, and I'm actually going to turn off my screen share here and just talk to you. So the one thing that you do need to actually get kind of set up in your back office is when you have an autoresponder, you want the email to come from you. And when you are, the only way to get that to happen is to have a professional email address, and I would highly suggest a professional email address. The professional email address has a couple of benefits to you. One of them is that it has the name of whatever you decide your website is going to be. So my website is Wherever Joe Works. So my email address is Jill@whereverjoeworks. And The one thing that that does for you, especially when you're sending emails out, is it actually makes it more deliverable to to the people that have opted in, because so many people use like Gmail and Hotmail and all those other ones that there's a lot of spam, so it's more associated with like a spam type of email. And if you have an email that has a company name on it, like a professional email, like Wherever Joe Works, it has more chances of getting delivered to the inbox. So having a professional email is actually very important for you, and actually setting it up correctly is really important, because what ends up happening if you don't connect it properly to your autoresponder, when it gets sent out, it actually gets this really funky kind of email address where it says it comes from you, but it's really not, because it's coming through this AWeber and it has this really long number and it looks really funky in an email address. And I know that when I get emails from other marketers that have not set up this particular account correctly, it actually ends up in my spam folder. So before you actually start using your link anywhere, you do want to make sure that you go through your entire funnel and make sure that everything is done correctly, and that you've connected your professional email correctly. And how you actually connect your professional email is that there's a couple of different steps that you need to do. So the first step to setting up your professional email is first you have to get a website, a domain. I personally use Namecheap, and when I've actually set an email address up 2 different ways in Namecheap. One of them was that I used Yahoo. One of them was that I used Zoho, which is like an outside vendor that has the only thing that I have through them is the professional email, and so I linked that email to that particular program. The other one that I did, I actually set it up right through Namecheap. They have a professional email right in Namecheap. And actually, neither of them were hard to do. It's just how it's all connected. And then in addition to setting up your professional email, you have to actually go into the settings and set up your AWeber. And that is actually in your web page. So mine came through Namecheap, and I can show you what it looks like. Okay, so let's go into this one. So what these is when you're setting up your professional email, it's actually a DNS thing that you need to set up in the back end of your website. So, and if you're getting kind of squirrely about that, in AWeber they have explicit instructions on how to do your DNS, actually right in Namecheap. So you can just follow the directions. There's a couple little gotchas. I know that I did this over the weekend with one of my friends, and we got hung up a couple of times, but we got it figured out, and it was absolutely no problems. But you can see that these are actually set up for AWeber right here, and this is what makes all the emails connected to that particular account. But these are in there, and if you are getting stuck, I can try to help you. But I have to say that the support system through Namecheap, they are phenomenal. They are so wonderful to work with. And I have to say that every experience I've ever had with them has been spectacular. So that's all this is, though, is setting up your DNS to actually have your emails pointed in the correct direction. But you can see that like I said, that I go through Zoho, and here are the messages for Zoho. Both of these are actually for them. So you're just adding records into your DNS, and it makes your emails get pointed in different directions. So this is kind of really like a directory. If you're not familiar with it, that's really all it is a directory. It just says, yeah, this you're going to go there, and this you're going to go there. So you just need to do the setup in the back end. It can be a little bit intimidating, and I understand that. It is nerve-wracking. I actually just moved my website a few weeks ago, and it was not... I was like panicking through the whole thing. So, but I made it through it, and everything got moved, and everything's working fine. So, and I have helped a few people through this, and as stressful as it is, we all get through it. So if it is something that you are putting off doing, just bite the bullet and just do it. You'll be fine. I promise you'll be fine. Oh my goodness, I didn't share my screen through the whole thing. Let me show you. Okay. That is so funny. So here I am in Namecheap, and this is my domain, right? Wherever Joe works, because that's the name of my company, and I'm in the DNS. So I'm in the DNS, and you can see, like, here's my Awebers, and you can see that this is actually my Zoho right down here. So this is what I was talking about, the Aweber, how it's connected through the Autoresponder, and my Zoho is connected through my professional email, and that's all it is. So I apologize for not having it on the screen, but what are you gonna do? So that's what it looks like. If you have any questions about this, absolutely reach out to me. I would love to try to help you with that, because I've been through it a few times now, you know, so I'm sure that I can actually, if I can't help you, I can certainly point you in the right direction. And I actually love doing this stuff, and it's kind of fun when it all works and everything works out.